All right, at 6 o'clock p.m., I'm going to call the council to order. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we come together in your name, grateful for the opportunity to gather in unity. We thank you for the blessings of this day and the purpose of this meeting. We humbly ask for your guidance and wisdom as we discuss the matters at hand. Grant us the clarity of thought and compassion of heart to make decisions that honor you and benefit all. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, one state, under God, one and indivisible. You may be seated. All right, I want to welcome everyone to our meeting tonight. It's been a long time since we've actually been in these chambers. 5 weeks, yay. So I want to thank you all for coming. All right, so I just want to make a couple of announcements. Exciting news. The Allsup's convenience store and gas station has broken ground on the corner of South College and Business 67. So even though we missed the opportunity for a groundbreaking, I would like the city to coordinate a time that some of us could go and maybe get a picture next to the sign, Mr. Batla, so that we can publicize this great event, not only for us, but for Allsup's, because we want them to be successful here. On some sad news, I just wanted to report that Robert Bischoff passed away on June 9, 2024. Many of us knew him as Bob, as he lived here most of his life. He served on the city council for a total of 16 years under 3 different time periods, and he had been a mayor pro tem. Bob was very active in the community service and very opinionated when it came to the spending of the city's money. But he was a kind-hearted man, very generous with his time, and he'll be missed in our community. Council, I would just like to say it's been an absolute pleasure serving with you guys the last 19 months as your mayor and these last 55 months on council. And when I say that, that just sounds like a really long time. Anyway, some of our meetings have been very lively with our discussions, but what's been important at the end of the day is that we've come together for the good of the town and our citizens, and I think that we have done that very well. And tonight we have another jam-packed meeting, and we'll be making more progress for our town that is going to pave the way for us to have the funds to fix our roads, to pay our staff and keep up with the rising cost of living, and invest in the resources that we need to serve our citizens. So I'm ready to get started if you all are. I'm going to try to keep us moving along so that we're not here until midnight. So sound good? All right. So agenda item number 3, public comments. I have several little cards here. I'm going to call up Troy Smith. And we have our audio back.
Audio is working. Troy Smith, 310 Woodlawn, here in Keene, obviously. I just wanted to sing a praise, if I could. We were sitting by a roadway, and there was a massive pothole there due to erosion from all of the moisture that we've been getting. And so I called the Public Works Director, Derek, and the next day, Dominic was out there. I call those guys the Double D because they got right on it, and they just took care of the problem. So it's just good to see that an active response was taken, and the initiative was done the very next day. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Public Works for knocking that out. So I just wanted to just note that, so that way you guys understand that people are doing things around here, and things are getting done. Not to mention, I saw a Facebook post where this guy's out here mowing a lawn. So I don't know how many hats this guy wears, but I just found another one. So anyway, kudos to you guys for keeping this city going and maintaining roads and things like that. So we appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Smith. All right, Paul Knott.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'll be real quick. Paul Knott, 107 North Old Mansfield Road. I provided you with photographs of the house at 2929 CR 805. that has looked like that for the last 15 years, but in the last 6 months, the front door has either been stolen or just blown off. The windows look like they do in those photographs. I took those with my cell phone last Sunday. According to the website sos.state.tex.us, that's the Secretary of State's website, that certainly qualifies as a public nuisance. I got information on the owner. I have it right here. The owner lives in Calhoun, Louisiana. I got that from the county clerk's office. In fact, April Lawn sent it to me, the county clerk, and the Central Appraisal District. My point is this, that abandoned property creates a wide range of problems. Public health problems, diminishing the quality of life for residents, and also can lead to crime and vandalism and arson. So whatever you have to do, let's get rid of that. Start mowing the grass, cleaning the property, sending the bills to the owner. If I found who she is, you certainly can too. So that's all I want to say. And you have those photos. Second item. I really applaud the Charter Review Commission and the work they've done. I'm asking you to send everything to the voters. Let the voters decide. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Knott. Mr. Battle, if you can follow up on this and make sure, see if that's in this.
I do have some information for
Okay.
council if it's appropriate.
Go ahead.
Public comment. So we do have a section 151.130 on the creation of a building standards commission. It requires the commission shall consist of 7 members appointed by city council. This is for us to abate substandard buildings. And in that commission, there has to be a master electrician, a licensed plumber, a licensed HVAC contractor, a general contractor, and a local citizen interested in building trade. So you know how hard it is to get people to volunteer on these commissions. So this is something we'd have to set up in order to pursue an abatement of a substandard building. I want to defer to our attorney on that just to make sure I'm stating that correctly, but we can pursue that. There's some steps.
Correct. There's some steps both on our ordinance and under state law that now there can be some more short-term measures. I mean, we have the ability to mow and then place mowing liens on the property. And we have the ability to secure the building if we believe it's unsafe and it's an attractive nuisance that kids may go in there or something like that. We certainly have other options that aren't as cumbersome in the short term, at least, as going through the process to have it turned down. And quite frankly, in a lot of communities I'm involved in, after those mowing liens build up, you can file it's basically a foreclosure suit if the city has any interest in owning the property, and you just have it struck off. It pays off the lens, have the property struck off to you, then you own it. You can tear down the house and then resell the property to somebody that might put something on it that's considered beneficial for the community. There's a number of different options. I can visit with you on it, and I'm sure Pat Chester can as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, okay, Mr. Battle, if you'll pursue that then, thank you. Okay, Mike Stanton.
Good evening. My name is Mike Stanton. I live at 1201 Honeysuckle Drive. We've lived there going on 2 years with my wife Ashley and my 2 young daughters and my son who attends Southwestern Adventist University. On May 5th, our house was flooded with water runoff from the property behind us, bordering on 805. On May 6th, Mr. Batla and Mr. Martin were kind enough to come over immediately and consult. I was out of town on business, but consult with my wife. It's owned by MKP Development. I'm sure probably some of you are familiar with them up here. We have not had any communication really since, I think you had a meeting with city engineers and MKP engineers. We've had no communication since then, and it's just a little disappointing. My wife's followed up, and we still haven't heard anything back. I'm about $8,000 in the damages into my home. Insurance is not covering it because it's flood. Obviously, I'm not in a floodplain. Well, I wasn't. So I'm not in a floodplain, so that's out of pocket. MKP, I reached out to the owner, Adlai Pennington. He communicated with me at first. He has since gone dark and won't communicate with me. There are 3 TCEQ violations on that property back there. I'm not sure if you're aware of that or not. 2 of them are open, 1 of them has been resolved, but I believe there's a fine as well. So what I'm here asking for is some help from the council. Number 1, with communication, to let us know what's going on to rectify the situation with your meetings with your engineers. I'd certainly appreciate that. Maybe share some plans with us, some engineering plans. I do have a contact at TCEQ, a good friend I went to college with, that can help look at those if we need to. But right now, I need help with that, and also I'm trying to recoup some of my out-of-pocket expenses. This is a financial hardship for us. We were only able to live in our home for half of our home for 2 or 3 weeks, so it's been an inconvenience. So really, I'm here to ask for that, ask for maybe even a point person that can communicate with us and give us some information as to where we are with this, and to help us take care of the situation. My neighbor, Nathy, is here. She's going to speak as well, but she also has problems with the runoff. And just, we need some help. You know, we pay our taxes, take care of our property, good citizens, we're plugged into the school district, my wife's a local realtor. We need some help, and I'm just asking for that.
I'd be
Thank you,
happy
Mr.
to meet
Stanton.
with you on that. I apologize for the lack of communication. I thought you were in direct communication with the developer.
I was, but not anymore. He's chosen not to communicate, and I appreciate that. And again, you guys came out immediately, and we appreciate that. And I'm not angry. We just need some help.
Yeah, please come by. We can look at those plans.
Okay.
Yeah, come on by.
And I'd like to know kind of where we are. You met with the engineering folks with MKP. Where are we at on that? Because once those houses go in, I think we all know it's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse. And so we've got people that live on that street and live there for quite a while. Some of them not as long as us, but we've got drainage coming off that property. I understand there have been plans made, and maybe they followed the plans, but obviously there's an issue. I know there's a lot of rain then, but we've had lots of rain before, particularly when we moved in the first time, and my house has never flooded, and we just need some help.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
All right,
Stanton.
thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Bailey. Yeah, if you'll get him, meet with him and get him whatever he needs, the plans, whatever can help him. All right, Nathy Regman.
Hello, how's everybody?
Just fine.
Nathy Regman, 1203 Honeysuckle Drive. And basically, I just need to substantiate what Mike says. I'm noticing some things at my house now that I had not even noticed before. One thing is large holes at the back of my fence, which butts up to the new subdivision. I'm noticing I can't even mow certain areas. Tree roots in the front of my house that are uncovered now because the water rushes through. And what's happening is, our theory is that the water's coming from dikes, which is on the other side of them, through his yard and into mine. I've never seen water like this. It will rain, and then it takes days for it to dry up because the water is still coming from all of that land behind us. So I did call Pennington, and he took my call, and I said, you know, we've got a problem here, and he said, you know, I was telling him about changes, and he said, well, if something's changed, then we need to look into it for sure. So just to substantiate what Mike and Ashley are having to go through, and, you know, whatever you can do, we would appreciate.
All right, thank you, Nathy.
Thank you.
Mr. Bell, if you can, include her in any correspondence that you're also sending to Mr. Stanton. Okay, that is all the yellow cards I have. Is there anybody else that would like to speak that did not fill out a yellow card? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Agenda item number 4, reports. A, review and discuss the city manager's report, Tractor Supply Project Update, Taste of Keene event, storm siren server info, and the cost of taxes and health care in the month of July. Notice of rate increase from Republic Services.
Okay, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Good evening, I guess. Have one thing to add to this. Our IT, we're getting reports that our service is recording tonight, but it's not pushing through. We've had several IT issues that we've been trying to work through, as you know, and I thought we've worked through all of them, so we will post the recording for later viewing, okay. But it is recording. As far as IT issue goes, the storm siren server was out at the fire department, and that is being replaced. We found a workaround. We could manually activate if we needed to. So that has been ordered, and it's been programmed, and they're set to replace that ASAP. And of course, we've had to redo a few components here at City Hall from a power surge. So we got everything going that we could, rudimentary services for City Hall council meeting tonight. Okay, I'll skip the tractor supply update because that is an agenda item. The Taste of Keene, we've settled on September 22nd. That's first day of autumn. It's kind of like an autumn fest deal, and just to kind of review that, you know, we have all these events that I go to where they set up the food booths. There is such good food. I eat at every one of those booths far too much. It's all kinds of different food, and so we want to celebrate that. I mean, we've got a great, you know, diversity of foods here, so we want to celebrate that with some kind of, you know, something. So September 22nd. Budget numbers are healthcare cost information. The preliminary numbers should be in July 7th. And as y'all know, that's really the key, that's the elephant in the room number we need to really kick off our budget to see how we're going, what that looks like. We've got a vaccination clinic July 20th from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. at the community center. And we do have a slight rate increase from Public Services for next year. It's on your screens. We can't project to the screens in council, but the average residential administration fee per customer is, the addition will range from $0.25 to up to about 50 cents. So that is a minor adjustment there to the Republic Service trash services. And that's all I have. You have any questions for me?
Any questions, Mr. Foster?
I didn't catch the date of the vaccination clinic.
The date of the vaccination clinic is July 20, from 8 to 10 at the community center.
And then another question, was the storm siren server under warranty by chance?
No, it's pretty old. And yeah, it just, we've been having some problems with it, and it finally went kaput. So we,
Didn't we just get a new storm siren not too long ago?
we may have done a siren, but that was an old server. That may have been an old repurposed server,
Yeah,
but,
it's different.
so.
Question, do we have power surge protectors for these, like now?
We do, yeah.
But it went through it? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Batlow? Okay, moving on. Agenda item 4B, review and discuss the financial report for the month ending May 31st, 2024. Mr. Williams, how are you today?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Good to see everyone. And what I'm reporting is the May financials, the 8th month of the year. We are closing toward the end. Sorry for the paper, but as you can see, our numbers are pretty good for the month of May. And one thing I want to point out on this revenue portion, get my hands to it, excuse me. On the revenues, those numbers are pretty good. The first one I was going to point out was our property taxes. As you can see, we had pushed through the 3 million collection, the first time in Keene, of course. And also, we are well above our projection. I did project at 98.6, and we're at 103.3. So those are good, favorable numbers for the city as far as revenue goes. Also, I kind of want to touch on that we are also doing fairly very well on the court fees and fines. If you recall last year, the numbers was a little dry, but right now they are doing a very good job of collecting most of the fines and fees for this year, the post-pandemic, of course. And also, one other note, we are holding steady on the fire revenue, doing very, very well, well above the target of 66.7%. That leads us to saying that the revenue is well past the May of last year by at least 6.7%, which is very, very good. And one thing to note, as we go into the budget season, as our city manager alluded to, we'll be looking at property taxes and sales tax and other fees to see what we can do and make strong consideration for next year. Expenditures on the next page, we are doing very, very well on that, very favorable, well below the budget means on that. We had some expenditures, quite a bit on the non-departmental, that's why it's at 110%. One of the reasons is they increased TML risk pool insurance. And just to touch base on that, we get quite a bit number of claims, a little more exceeding than most small cities. Insurance, on the other hand, when they see a number of claims coming in, your insurance is going to kick up a little higher than normal. Normally, we would be spending, I'd say, about 20 to 25% less. So that's why that number is exorbitantly high. Something to consider during the budget as well. So I thought I want to point out those two high notes. Departmental-wise, our city manager kept us very conservative in our spending, which is great leadership on his part. We are holding steady on that. It's just the non-departmental is the one that hit the hardest with the insurance. So with all the vehicles and accidents is unpreventable, and some could be deterred, but there you have it. Any questions? On the next page, you have the sales and property taxes. I mentioned about the sales part. Property taxes, I mentioned about that. Sales tax, I would project somewhat of a decline in the next year. A lot of things dealing with the economy and upcoming election. They're looking at different things with the market. I looked at Bloomberg the past few weeks, and the numbers are in a hot beat right now, going up and down, a little crazy. We cannot control that. So in essence, we have to ride with the tide. Right now, the projections, mine is similar to what Wall Street has. It might be somewhat of a decrease in the next several quarters, which includes that is our budget. So expect somewhat in the red, going down from that. So we may have to decrease our budget on sales tax. Once again, something to look at for 2025. Any questions? Okay, for water and sewer fund, we've been holding steady on those. As you can see, in comparison to last year, we're doing okay. We're still above, on the bottom line, right above target. But once again, we'll be discussing probably about the rates and fees with the budget workshops for a year. Sewer fund, very similar to the water fund. We'll have to look at fees and costs of those as well. And our city manager alluded to it at last council session about impact fees. So all of those are all in a pool of things that we have to review and assess. Any questions? And the last but not least, and I did not put the street fund rehab on there because we had just moved the money over. We got everything situated with the bank. So next report, you'll see the street fund rehab account that we have for that and any activity thereof. Other than that, we are holding steady with the pool cash. We are doing very well with that. We are not touching any of our reserves. We are doing quite well. I will note, as we are going through the audit season, they are pushing for the end of the year, so they're going through all our bank statements to make sure every penny is matched up, everything is accounted for, every penny. So for transparency, for the spirit of transparency, and what I give you, which should be almost exact mirror of what they'll be giving you sometime end of the month or the 1st of July. Any questions?
All right, I have one, Mr. Williams, if we're done with your presentation. Just to verify, currently, we have not invested any of our money outside of just using it in our money market accounts. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct.
Okay. Last week, I was in Lubbock, and I attended a public investment policy seminar. As you know, you attend the same ones.
Yes.
I've attended 2 now. I just want to verify that because we are out of compliance with our review of our public investment policy, and I've got that in my notes, and I've already emailed Mr. Batla about it. We're supposed to review it annually, and we haven't reviewed it in 4 years. But you haven't invested anything per that policy.
Right. If you notice, when I first came on, I mentioned about how things was when it was in a financial stall. I mentioned to invest in other pools, other investments that the city should occur. During that time, it was somewhat backed down by council. I think he was on board on the council at that time. Mr. Belts was as well. Those was things that I brought to surface during that time, and ever since then, we kept it as is during my tenure. But for the record, it was brought to the attention of council to do those things.
Yeah.
That the PFIA, public funds investment, the city should be in compliance of.
Yeah, because under that policy, under the state mandate, we're supposed to review it or revise it if we want to yearly. We're all supposed to review and revise the brokers and the dealers that are on there and choose the brokers and dealers. We're supposed to go over those names every year as well while we're reviewing it. And then the people that are in there as a designated investment officers are supposed to take the same training that I've taken and you've taken. But we have 2 other investment officers listed in that policy that have not yet taken that training. So it's something that council will need to review.
Right. First, you're correct, Mayor. They have to go through the training first before we proceed to move forward.
With investing anything. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's all I need to know. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor.
And when is your last day, Mr. Williams? Can we ask you
August
that? We've
30th.
already publicly mentioned it. When is it?
If the city manager don't mind,
Yeah, we've already public mentioned he was leaving and retiring.
August 30th, I'll be retired.
August 30th, so it's coming right up there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Keep trying to convince him to stay long.
Well, I would like you to, but we will need to advertise. That's what I'm just trying to figure out. We need to start putting that on the,
We do have that out there.
we need to, have you started advertising yet? You have? Okay, I was going to bring that up to you today, to make sure we're doing that. Okay. We do not have agenda item number 5 to do tonight. That's public hearings, and there is no public hearing scheduled. So we're going to move on to a consent agenda, agenda item number 6. Council, do you have any items that you would like to remove from the consent agenda for discussion, for separate discussion?
Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to move to approve the agenda, consent agenda, but I'd like to pull item D.
The minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Council, do you have any other items? D?
It's the election,
The election.
yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, did I mishear him? It's D?
Yeah, D.
It's not the
as in
minutes.
dog.
Okay, sorry. I thought he said E. That's why I said the minutes. Okay, any other item, council, that you would like to pull from the consent? Okay, then
Okay.
no?
So I'd like to
Oh.
make a motion then.
Okay.
So I move to the consent agenda be approved as presented, except item D.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda as presented, except for item D. And that's by Gutwa and seconded by Foster. All in favor, raise your hand. It's unanimous, motion is carried. All right, we're going to now discuss item D, consent agenda under item 6D. Consider approval of the agreement between the City of Keene and Johnson County Elections Office to conduct the November 5, 2024 election.
Yes, Mayor, the reason why I pulled this item is just to clarify. I saw the cost around $27,436.75 for this election, and I have like 2 questions about it. It's not a big deal, but just for clarification. So this year we have $27,000. So did the cost, how does it compare with the last year's election?
Yeah, I believe you have those. I gave you those numbers earlier, Mayor.
Yeah. Okay, let me see if I stuck it there. Okay, I asked for the information on the last elections. This is I'll just hand it to you for a second. Yeah, do we know why this amount was high? Is it just an estimate?
It is just an estimate.
So we're just approving that this is the most that they're going to charge us, but it will most likely be less.
And that number is, if you look at Exhibit C, it itemizes as if we were charged for everything. And, and some of these costs may not apply to us. It's just a standard cost chart that they are sending out to all municipalities that are contracting for the county to run the election for us.
So, and then my question comes, is this election going to be conducted in Keene or in Cleburne?
No, we will have early voting
for this
will be
year?
here at City Hall, as well as November 5th. We'll be here at City Hall.
Okay.
Okay. So, and then the last one is there any training that, as a city secretary, I know you're the one who's supposed to conduct the election based on the requirements. So, is it possible for you to get the training before the November 20?
No.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. The training, there's, half of it is in July, and then the other half will be in January. So, and then I'll be trained.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, those are my questions that I had about the item, unless somebody has a question about the item.
Any other questions on that item?
No, we knew she wouldn't be ready for this election because it started a few months ago. Then they had the runoff election, not for Keene, but for the county. And so this is just this will be the ending part of that same time period that we started with.
It's just, I was just asking for the updates because I don't have the information that you have. Sorry for inconvenience. So because of that, I can move the consent agenda, be approved as presented, that item D.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve the item D. I'm just going to read it. We have a motion on the floor to approve the agreement between the City of Keene and the Johnson County Elections Office to conduct the November 5, 2024 election by Gutwa, and a second by Bells. All in favor, raise your hand. It's unanimous. Motion is carried. All right, agenda item number 7. Review, discuss, and consider accepting the final plat for 2521 East Highway 67 Tractor Supply as submitted by Crossroads Development Keene, LLC, for approval by the City Council.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I do have some larger copies here. If you would like them, I can pass them out to you if you want to look at them on the plats.
Okay.
What's that? Okay.
Oh, okay. Got it on the
Well,
screen.
there should be the first page and then the second page. The first page is the plat, the second page is their conceptual plan. So Crossroads Developments LLC is submitting the final plat for the property located at 2521 East Highway 67, which will be developed for a tractor supply retail location. The preliminary plat was approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission, P&Z, at their January 8, 2024 regular meeting, and by City Council, January 18th, 2024 regular meeting. Due to the public improvements that were required and have been completed, the plat must go through the city's approval by P&Z and Council. The city's consulting planners and engineers have reviewed the plans to make sure they are compliant with the current city ordinances. They had some comments and they've all been corrected, and on the current final plat. The property will bring in a highly anticipated retail store that will bring in sales tax and other revenues to the city while benefiting the residents. P&Z Commissioner and Development staff recommend approving the final plat for the 5.17 acre tract of land situated in the Old Winter Survey Abstract 875, also to be known as Tractor Supply Keene Addition Lot 1, Block 1. And you should have the final plat application, the final plat, civil engineering plans, warranty deeds, tax statements, and minutes from the 6/10/2024 P&Z meeting. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to discuss them with you.
I have one question. I had the opportunity to go into some Allsups. There is a whole bunch of them between here and like Lubbock, where I just traveled to last week. And,
Allsups or Tractor?
Allsups, I'm sorry, yeah, not sorry, I'm thinking Allsups, I'm sorry, not Tractor Supply, I'm sorry,
Okay.
change that. Never mind, we'll keep it to Tractor Supply.
Okay.
Is this the first one in our county, in our area?
No,
As far
there's
as
one
for
in
Keene?
Burleson, there's one in Cleburne.
And is there one in Alvarado?
I'm not sure.
Okay. I did notice that this one took a long time for us to get through, and that's something that council needs to consider.
It was kind of started in November of 2022. They were looking at another piece of land farther down on 67, but it had some issues.
Yeah.
It was too much cost for them to
Yeah.
recoup their investment right away. So that's when they started looking for another piece, and they found this one. And then we had to
Yeah,
go
'cause
through with getting the water rights from the PUC, and it's been a long
Yeah, it took us
process.
2
And
years.
TxDOT.
Yeah, 2 years to finish it, which seems like a really long time, but I do know we ran into some areas that we had to cross over as far
Right.
as the lane, the acceleration, de-acceleration lane. We had to work on an easement, and then we also had to settle the water rights
Right.
and stuff. So we had three big things that did occur that kind of held up this development from coming in. But I'm excited that it's coming in. I think it's going to be great for our community, and I look forward to seeing it and shopping in it. And does anybody have any questions for Mr. Martin?
I'd like to make a motion, Mayor.
Okay,
I move the council accept the final plat for 2521 East Highway 67 Tractor Supply as submitted by Crossroads Development, Keene LLC.
I'll second.
who seconded it?
Me.
Okay, Johnson, okay. Y'all did it at the same time here. All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve the final plat for 2521 East Highway 67 Tractor Supply as submitted by Crossroads Development Keene Limited Liability Company by Bells, seconded by Judenson. Any further discussion on this motion?
Oh, Mayor, I have a question.
Okay.
I know here you have, there's a statement here under the General Business Agenda 7A on the front kind of cover page here. Under the findings and current activities, you have mentioned here the city's consulting planners and engineers have reviewed the plans to make sure that they are compliant with the current city ordinance. So, this is not my first time. I do ask these questions going back, several years. And the reason why, because of the questions that I get out there when I'm speaking to some of the residents. So for me to be able to vote for this, and it's a very good addition because, we need the tax dollars, as a city. So did the engineer, our city engineer, sign off on this final plat, per your statement here, finding current activities?
They reviewed it, yes.
Okay, and then there's also, and then did the planner also sign off and say it was good to go?
He reviewed it when we did the preliminary plat, gave me his comments, and the ones that were legitimate comments were incorporated into the final plat.
So once you incorporated, did you send it back to the engineer?
There's no reason to.
So why?
Exactly, why?
Yeah, I'll jump in there. It's professional services. So when I send something to our city attorney, for example, and he tells me to change the word "the" to an and I do that, don't need to send it back to him to make sure it's okay. We've done it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, any further discussion on this motion? All in favor, raise your hand. It's unanimous, motion is carried. Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Agenda item number 7C, review, discuss, and consider the construction of ADA compliant ramp access on the community center side of City Hall. Okay, council, I asked for this to be on the agenda. As stated in your staff report, which citizens do not have privy to, it says during a recent event at the community center, it was noted that vehicles were backing up too far, blocking access to the sidewalk in front of City Hall, potentially creating an ADA accessibility issue. And Ms. Beeson and I were both there present. This is when we did the Project Hero. Were you there, Mr. Knott, for the Project Hero? Okay, during the Project Hero, it was a little bit embarrassing for me because as I was there standing outside, some of those wounded vets that were traveling along in that event were not able to access the community center room. And during that event, it was on a Saturday when City Hall was closed. So the front access was closed off to them so they could only enter through the door on the community center side door. So what the problem was is when they went to go use the ramp, the wheelchair ramp to get up there, some trucks had backed up onto that front spots, and their back hitches were into the sidewalk area, and they were not able to travel that distance. They were gonna have to get off into the grass, and then there's a couple of signs there, and they couldn't get through. Yes, sir?
Those handicapped trucks, do they have handicap stickers?
I don't believe so.
They probably shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, I don't believe they did. I didn't look at their stickers, but
That's handicap parking right there specifically for handicapped.
no, this was the spots beside the handicap parking. These are in the regular spots that are not handicapped. People were backed up, and we have a picture in our booklet that kind of shows what it looks like, Mr. Knott, if you want to look at it. But anyway, so council, I brought this to your attention because it was kind of embarrassing because these guys had to ask their comrades and their fellow bikers for help and assistance in getting into the community center room. And I was thinking that we could find a solution to that. And the solutions that Mr. Batla found, and there's two of them that are listed here, is we could either put some kind of parking stop along those parking spots where they can't back up and their hitch get into the sidewalk, or we could just add another ramp on the community center side. And there's a picture of that in here too, where that ramp might go, so that they can just access it right there. Yes, Ms. Beeson, I see you have a question.
Yes, I was there that
Yes.
day, and you discussed it, and I said, we talked about it. I think you're exaggerating a bit because those guys, they did not ask for help to get up there. And the City Hall is ADA compliant. And you talked about, it was mentioned in here about the stops, the parking spot. Those can be very dangerous too, because I know of two incidences. I saw one, and the person ended up passing away from the injuries he sustained from stumbling over one of those. And so I think as right now, the city hall is compliant, and maybe the next time, if we need to get in the community room, then we need to make sure that the front door of the city hall is open. But those guys were pretty take care of themselves type.
Well, I understand that they can take care of themselves. I did hear them say, hey, ask for help. They did specifically ask for help from their friends who did assist them off the curb, and I witnessed it. And I was present, and it happened twice in my presence. And I apologized to them, and I said, I'm sorry. And they showed me the problem, and they said, yeah, we can't get through this sidewalk. And I looked, and I saw that the trucks were backed up, and I said, I see the issue, and I'm going to bring it to the city's attention, and that's what I'm doing today. And I did send pictures, and these are the pictures that I took, and you can tell that the trucks are over the sidewalk. I mean, I understand that we're ADA compliant because all we had to do is have one ramp, but we're talking about, we're doing events on the weekend, and these cars were here, and these are wounded vets, and do we want to disrespect these guys and say, oh, I'm sorry, we got the sidewalk there, just go around it in the grass? I mean, what are we doing here? Are we going to be business and people friendly and try to help people out? That's my thought here. And we also do our elections in the community center room, and in our elections, I've been to a presidential election at the community center room, and we're getting ready to have another one, and those are usually busy. And people line up from the community center door, and they go straight out into the parking lot. They don't curve around on the sidewalk and go down the handicap ramp. They actually go straight out over that curb. So if we had people there with walkers or wheelchairs or anything, and they won't be able to stay in line. They're gonna have to go way out of the way and then come all the way back. What's the point of that if we can solve it? All right, Mr. Battle had a question.
I just have something so you can inform your opinion. The initial estimate for the blocks that I received was $2,700. I've since received an estimate of about $1,300 to do the parking stops. So take that into consideration.
All right, Ms. Beeson,
And if we put a ramp down at the other end, we don't have the automatic doors, so are we gonna have to put the automatic doors in there also? And that would be an additional cost.
we could consider that. That's a good idea.
And there are no handicap parking spots down at that end of the
I
building.
believe they had the doors open that day, but I could be wrong. But I think they did have the doors propped open, because the doors can be propped open. But like I said, we're making this where it wasn't very favorable for them to enter the building, and I felt bad for these guys.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
would unlocking the front doors
You want to step forward? Did you want him to step forward? Yeah. Sorry, we're gonna make you get up.
Okay. Would unlocking the front doors to the
Yeah.
complex solve the problem?
We could do that and have them enter the front door. That wasn't done that day, and it hasn't been done in the past.
That's why they have to go.
Okay,
That would cost us zero.
okay.
Sounds like we need to change our policy and procedures about how we use the community center and open our doors. That's a zero-sum cost for the city.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So then, why haven't we been doing that in the past if it is costing $0? Maybe consider.
It's never been made an issue.
So if we open it, will there be somebody that will make sure that once the event is done, like somebody has to be here all day?
Yes, whoever's running the community center event would be responsible for doing
And then the city is responsible to pay for the overtime? Okay.
that. We already do that. When we have an event, there's someone here monitoring it. So.
All right, council, anybody else have anything they want to speak on this issue? Okay, we can just go ahead and move on. We don't need a motion on anything, right? We're just reviewing and discussing. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 7D. Before we do a 7D, I need to ask council if they can adjourn into executive session, because one of the items in 7D is to discuss the purchase of security systems for city parks, and I have an update for the council. Our executive session tonight is agenda item number 8, section 551.076, deliberation regarding security devices, security cameras, and access control. So I'd like to ask council if we can go into executive session for a few minutes, discuss that, and then we'll come back and pick up at agenda item number 7D. All right, it's 6:50 PM. We're going to adjourn into executive session.